Yeah, we got some on screen.
All right, and 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, we're back again, A Toy Kind of Mood, episode Ruger 57. I'm joined again by Gridiron Studios. We're going to go over the 25 days of Gridmas. Mark, good to have you back, and you brought some company this time.
I did, man. This is the nuts and bolts of Gridiron right here, man.
Love
So this is Colin. He runs all of our production, and this is Quaid. He does all of our chief design work. And I just walk around.
Walk around.
More than that. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit more. Thanks for joining us, guys. It was a pleasure to have 3 guests. This is tremendous. That's a first for us. So
awesome. It's cool to be here.
Solo mission today, our main focus, and we got some surprises, guys. So stay tuned to the end. Don't crap out, because we got some reveals from what I hear, big ones, and at least some reveal announcements. But let's go over some of the. If we went over the 25 days, we'd be here for 2 hours, and I'd love it. But maybe not maybe not YouTube would love it. But let's go over right on day 1. You knocked it out of the park, and I was upset because I don't have a rock and roll. I'm not actually. I host a custom show, and I'm not a customizer. I don't have rock and roll, but you brought it out with the custom loadout for rock and roll right away on day 1. You want to show us that one and go over it and kind of just talk about the overall preparation for these 25 days as well.
Okay, so first of all, let's just clear something up. Rock and roll wasn't actually in the 25 days.
It was leading up to it. It was close.
It was the last thing before we started. But the funny part is he kind of had to happen for us to develop the helmets. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why there's a connection to it, because our first day was actually the helmet, the goggled helmet.
Okay.
And so, man, when rock and roll came out, man, it was like that was another big kind of character-based set for us, and we talked about last time, man, that retro feel and look to things, man, that's almost like the priority on my mind.
Yeah,
I know there's a modern element that we have to kind of touch on, but with rock and roll, man, that 60 has to happen. I mean, anything else is a modern interpretation. To me, that's Joe is at 60. So it's kind of how that ends up going down.
Yeah, could you show that figure up forward so people could see the set? I know there's a M60 ammo belt, 2 bandoliers, there's Amir's leg with scabbard.
We don't have any of it on him.
Oh, wonderful! So we'll have.
So he came with his bandoliers.
Okay,
these are all flexible pieces. We will be having these sold separately. Also, we've had a lot of questions on that. Our bandoliers will be coming separately. We have plans for ammo belt or like ammo sets, so that's going to be coming, like these little flexible belts. I don't know if you can show that, maybe one of these, and then the big thing for him that we kind of went through a process of trying to figure out what was going to make him unique and special. I had in my mind, I'm kind of the one that goes over all the design ideas, right? And so when I'm pushing through what hits me, like emotionally and all that, rock and roll, I would never make a version 2. Like, to me, rock and roll is that version 1. I never bought as a kid that whole 4 quad, Gatling gun setup. That was just never my thing. But I loved the mare's leg that he came with in the version 2 originally. So we kind of did our interpretation of that, which was basically a mare's leg and a scabbard that would go on his back.
Beautiful.
And those, so that kind of gave us almost this new incarnation of what rock and roll is now. A cool like secondary weapon that was kind of had a signature to him, and then we also had the 60. So
yeah, and that's sort of the point of the main figure line of where you're customizing. Let's GI Joe Classified are combining the nostalgic, a real American hero looks, and then also this kind of look that they started doing with the sci-fi. Got some backlash, but they've kind of found their perfect mold with that. And then so are you focusing on loadouts? I see we have a Duke Command loadout too. So you just you're kind of going with classic characters that we already have, and then you're kind of looking out for the customizers as well.
That's it. Exactly, man. I think when we first did, I think the first idea for a loadout for us was that Viper loadout early on.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of throwing that out there. We thought we were just going to be making a catalog of weapons. But the more of the weapons we started to kind of create, man, we noticed that just by doing a paint app change, we were getting closer to what that realistic version of the retro would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I had been wanting to get this Duke out. I'd been harping on Quaid forever to make the binoculars, because that to me was Duke. If I could get that set of binoculars, because man, we all remember getting that freaking binocular as a kid, and the strap never went around his head; it kind of stuck straight out. So our idea to try to get that worked is basically these little rubber bands that would lay flexible, so we didn't have to print them, and they'd be more durable. People could put them around the neck. I don't know if you want to kind of show that close up.
Yeah, sure. My editor approves these close-ups. He doesn't have to blast a million pictures on that. I appreciate it. Yeah, look at that. I definitely ordered that one. When am I getting my order, Mark, by the way?
Behind the other 1,000 people. No,
that's
man,
awesome news. I love it. No, it's great.
We're actually, man, we started hitting, we took off the majority of Christmas and Sunday the next day, and we were back at it on Monday filling orders. So a lot of your viewers, man, they're getting their orders coming in probably right now.
Yeah, because look, my bat needs a chainsaw, man. Shout out to Ryan Sweeney. He put the bloody chainsaw with this, and it was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, Ryan does some awesome stuff, man. Yeah, he did some cool stuff.
Yeah, he did a good job. Oh, I might as well show this one real quick while I got it. The Viper with the, look at that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Big loadout. I was like, what do I do with this thing? Here it is. The essential look.
That's it. Yeah, man.
Like the dual wielding and everything. Look at that with the shield.
Totally.
And, oh man.
Dude, and side note, man, is we've been getting a lot of questions on the bats with everybody getting them in. We definitely intend to do other arm pieces.
Thank you. Because you know what? No, I'm just sorry to interrupt, but the bat, while we're on it, like, I love it, but it doesn't feel complete. So it has two heads, it's got the plates, it's got all the cool arms, but there's more we can do, especially gun-wise with this. So,
well, you know how we like to add kind of specialty weapons to troop builders. Just wait, there's going to be some fun bat stuff.
Oh, I love it. And you're talking.
I'm hoping,
sorry, go ahead.
with the arm attachments is we'll integrate, I'm just going to throw it out there. Things like a heavy weapon set that would plug into his arm that would also be something he could dual wield or, carry as a big weapon. So there'll be some fun stuff coming.
Colin or Quaid, either one, which is your favorite G.I. Joe classified figure? And are you guys hardcore collectors too? I know you're doing all the nuts and bolts, or what do you do? Like, what's your determination?
Well, so growing up, my dad obviously was collecting the whole way through. So we kind of just grew up seeing all that. I don't think personally we do a ton of collecting. I had certain times where I jumped into some Lord of the Rings stuff and some Transformers things. But G.I. Joe specifically, we never got into collecting ourselves. So we're getting a lot of information from my dad.
Yeah, he's got the brains.
He's just like, man, this is what I would want to have. Back in the 80s, if we can do this better. And then we all bring this kind of a unique skill set to the team that allows us to develop all these products in a unique way and keeping up with the orders that we're getting and everything. So obviously there's support we're seeing, which we appreciate. And it's just really kind of a special thing we got going on.
What's kind of funny, man, is we try to, this was really one of these things where about 26, 27 years ago, this was a plan that I would develop.
He just didn't tell us about it until now.
I just waited for the right moment.
Waited for the coronavirus pandemic to be like, here it is. It's time.
Slip in there. Yeah.
So you talk Vipers. We'll just jump right ahead in the notes. Day 13 and day 15, you went ahead with the Soviet RPK. Also comes in Viper colors, and the Viper Heavy, which was a surprise to me. It shouldn't have been, but was it a GAU or GAU 19?
On the
Viper Heavy. It's yeah. No, I was
So
just gonna
that-
say Viper seems to be like a specialty for you guys.
It is. Well, I think what's funny is this was as much a surprise to us as it was to you guys. So along the way, during the effect of all this, during the effect of all this, we had we were at about day 15, somewhere in there, and Quaid just got super sick. Like he was working around the clock. We've all been working around the clock, obviously. Yeah. And man, all of a sudden he just was done. I mean, he was sick. He couldn't get out of bed. Oof. And he was out, and Colin and I are looking at each other like, uh-oh, we lost our model guy right in the middle of the 25 days.
Oh no.
Fortunately, we had models. We're working, and I guess it's a good time to like fill people in on the backstory of the 25 days. When I sat these guys down, and I said, this is our first year. We need to make a punch if we want to like really make a splash into how we're doing these weapons. Christmas is a good time, right? Everybody's buying toys, or at least they want to have that feeling. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking, man, what funner way than to kind of have something every day that somebody could at least look at. And we were kind of aware, man, some guys, it's a tight Christmas. You're not always going to be able to buy everything. But as most of you know, we like to keep our inventory in as a catalog. So then after Christmas, guys can make orders, and we were all good. But man, we had a list, and the list was tentatively set up ahead of schedule, but we kept it loose so we could interject things and change stuff. And man, when that sickness hit him, man, and we were just praying we were going to get sick. So we all like totally quarantined and made sure we didn't, talk to Quaid at all. And
right.
And so there was all this like behind the scenes drama going on. But Colin and I were looking at each other, and we were kind of, when it came to this particular set, the Viper Heavy, there was a point in my mind that we had to do that heavy weapon set for the Vipers with that color scheme. But we had this particular barrel. I'm going to show the barrel. This particular barrel setup, that's on a totally different gun. And that gun was kind of another vehicle or weapons mounted, kind of like our Fort set.
Yep.
And so the idea was we were going to hold on to that and try to have that be another variation, which it will be for the Fort set. We have a plan to do several variations of those static or stationary weapons. But when we looked at the combination of that barrel set with the chassis of the Cobra heavy weapons, man, we're like, we got to do that paint variation and throw that new barrel on there, and we got something special. And fortunately, everybody kind of saw the same thing we were seeing, so it worked out really well.
Yeah, and speaking of that, so day 4, you introduced the bunker wall with the M12, and it's awesome. But I'm almost wondering if we see you've done some Legions diorama. Are we going to see any bigger dioramas? Because what I want, I don't make dioramas. I don't make shit. I suck. I just talk online. So it'd be great to have a diorama piece for G.I. Joe, and then I'd get a couple of those bunkers to support it. Should we expect any larger dioramas for Joe?
Yeah, I think there was a point in there where the concept of this, like, I know we all talked about how we were going to integrate a piece like this, because the issue with this is this piece alone, this was going to be its own set. It would come with just this kind of a short, it would come with just the short stand, and then somebody could mount it to a vehicle. And then when we looked around, we're like, there's no vehicles. We have a problem. And so that's how this got developed. Well, we were like, we need to make something that they can put the weapon on. Now down the road, they can pull this off and then put it on a weapon or on a vehicle once that happens. Mm-hmm. And then when we thought about this design, we're like, how do we incorporate something that's light enough that somebody, we could ship it easy. It's not going to break.
Because that could be a problem with the dioramas, unless it's in all pieces or something, maybe. So
that's right. And even with certain things, if it's going to be something solid or like concrete, you know, being in the diorama business for 20 years, you know, as the owner of Builderama, this was like kind of the only way to go on a modular piece. So we thought, okay, we'll go through this. We'll make manual cuts, but we'll do kind of a little bit of a production on it. Incorporate some 3D pieces so that it has a little more metallic feel, like a restructure or like a reinforced feel. And then they can be added together. So as we go on, we could add different weapons to this and have these walls even by themselves that people could add together. So we went in our head, man, talking about floor panels, larger walls, corner configurations. So this, and we've had a really good turnout on these. So chances are this will probably keep going.
Great. Cool. Colin, what's your favorite action figure line, and what's your favorite way to thing about the process of working with Gridiron?
I mean, right now, I really wasn't into it much before I started doing this, but I'm starting to get more into it, and I think it's pretty cool. I like Cobra a lot more than I don't know why. I'm a bad
He's
guy.
always the bad kid, man. He was the bad guy.
Cobra stuff is cool to me. So yeah.
Well, so you guys are just kind of jumping on this this wave.
Oh, his
well.
fault.
Yeah.
It's all his fault, but at least it's your dad. So like, all right, Dad, your fault. Hand it over. So.
Well, it worked out good because, man, you know, the interesting part of the dynamic is, you know, if you get three just total toy geeks sitting together, you really don't get anything done usually. And I found
that's kind of like us.
So that's what I'm saying, man. If it's just you and I sitting in a room, we're just talking toys all day. But you know, you pull these guys in, and they have a different perspective of it, and it becomes more business to them, which you got to have if you're going to try to run 100 SKUs and to actually ship stuff and produce stuff. And they each had kind of their own technical skills. Like, you know, Colin's he's a tech guy, so when you ask about an action figure, he comes from this last generation of it's all about the computer games and all that stuff. So it's funny because I use him for reference all the time on, hey man, in your games, how cool is this weapon? Can we maybe incorporate this into something? Or is this something in Call of Duty that's cool? He's my guy. Colin with Quaid, you know, he's studying, he's getting his master's in industrial design. So he comes from a really technical model standpoint with 3D printing. So I'm really pulling together guys, and then man, it's so, you know, this stuff, man, it's embedded in our head, right?
So I got a perfect follow-up. So Quaid, 3D printing, right? But do you have any interest in creating action figures too? Because so this last week, Action Force, Valaverse kind of took waves. They're selling out. I got an order on Dorkside. They're gone. The website crashed yesterday, Valaverse. This is probably a good opportunity, but with 3D printing, talk to me about action figures for a bit, creating.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're pushing the limits, I think, with 3D printing as it is, but that's something we're constantly doing. So durability of specific resins and the mixtures we use and everything for SLA, DLP type printing, where you're dealing with liquid that's curing under UV light, things like that. There's a limit to like how durable small articulating components can be, but there's nothing saying that we're not at least trying to get to that point with the technology we're dealing with here at this stage, and then eventually moving on to tooling, you know, overseas and things that allows more durability. But action figures are definitely on our mind, so we're doing everything we can to kind of get closer and closer to developing those types of products for sure.
Yeah, guys have a real need for the classified line, and they're taking way too long. And and that's not even, I mean, the shipment issues and everything like that, but they're like G.I. Joes when we were kids. Every week there was a new toy, and it stinks when you get this addiction, and then you gotta wait 6 months for a figure. So as the custom world is taking off, and you've seen, you know, that's why we even have a new custom show, because it's just going crazy, and it did really well. So like I have a real need for the OG 13 G.I. Joes, like Grand Slam, Zap, Steeler, Grunt, Flash, blah, 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 where they're not that popular because they're not Snake Eyes, they're not Duke, so we may not get them. So that would kind of fulfill, but you did fulfill the packs. Day 14, day 16, we saw ACH infantry helmets, woodland assault packs. You want to talk about that for a little bit? With the green shirts on your mind when you were creating these classic retro loadouts?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, you nailed it on the head. Like, I know that there's those key characters that, you know, you have to, everybody knows and loves Snake Eyes and all that. But man, where we come from, it was that thing we talked about, man, on that first time we ever saw Joe. The thing you were assessing in 1982 was what gear did they come with? You know, how much stuff did Short Fuse come with versus Zap? And you were having to incorporate all that. But with us, man, it was everything to get a correct helmet. Because to us, a helmet, when you ask the action figure question to us, we are constantly working towards an action figure line. Now, it seems odd because we've taken a complete, I don't know if I would say a complete new take on that progress by actually creating the weapons first and then the helmets. And then I'm guessing you'll see gear coming from us. We're getting a lot more gear, right? Pouches. And then once we get into actual moving parts, man, it's all over. Because, man, we'll put all this together. And I guess if I could have your viewers understand one thing of our goal is that when we start to put together Duke this way, we're seeing our own figure in there. So like putting together a set of weapons that's like perfect for him, in our mind, we're creating our own arsenal of weapons that will be for our own action figures, which I would hope people would want if they're liking what Gridiron's doing. When we do action figures, you can only expect that level of quality or better to be translated into that line. Instead of knowing, okay, a new action figures company comes out, you don't know what the weapons are going to be like. You don't know how the quality is going to be, all those things.
We've already set the base. Yeah.
And so we're hoping over time, by not interjecting first thing as figures, that we're building some confidence in the customer to understand that we're going the right way. You know?
Yeah, it's almost kind of the reverse of what, I mean, Hasbro's been around forever, obviously, but I'm saying with the classified line, they came out and the sculpts look good, the molds, but then people complained about the accessories. So you're kind of like, everyone loves your accessories. So it's kind of like,
hopefully that translates. Yeah. It's almost like in 1980s when, you know, the Real American Hero stuff was out. It's like, it's as if they launched the weapon packs first and then did a line. That's kind of what we're doing. So
well, very exciting. Day 8, 9, and 10 saw a Riot shield, face shield helmet, tear gas launcher, and then there was an ACH retro helmet with a visor on it. So getting into kind of a SWAT, I sort of could see some custom shockwaves going on since we don't have him, one of my favorites as a kid. So was there any reason why we didn't see this as a Riot accessory, a complete loadout? It was all separate. Is it maybe to fill in the days of Gridmas or?
Well, no. So actually, it's interesting you said that because they were very self-contained pieces, right? A cool helmet with a Riot shield.
That shield's sick.
Yeah, but what Colin and I had many talks about this during that time was if you notice, that was one of the first sets we'd ever done where we were really laying out multiple color schemes per part. Where up until this point, we had always done like one color scheme, and then 2 weeks later or a month later, we decide, oh, let's do another one. This time we wanted to give everybody the option of every version that we wanted to make right off the bat. Now, if we did a loadout set that was a Riot loadout, we would have to provide, we would be in a way forcing the customer to have to settle with one color scheme. So like when we talked about it, having a helmet that had like a black visor, you might want the Cobra blue helmet with the black visor, but you might want a black shield instead of a blue shield.
Perfect. Yep.
Same thing with the Riot with the tear gas gun. You know, we know, you know, our spindle and the actual revolving spindle, that is a different color on all those guns. So you can kind of color coordinate your, you know, setup.
Yeah. Quaid, are you a Star Wars guy? I see the background. So
I did all the paint and put up the wallpaper in this room. Yeah.
There you go. So day 24, we'll jump ahead. Sci-fi, finally, right? We got the macro binoculars. Like, to me, finally a Star Wars item, but this was perfect for that Remnant Stormtrooper. I think you got that in the picture from the Mando. So what went behind making some Star Wars Stormtrooper binoculars?
Yeah.
Well, this kind of started with the binoculars themselves. Like with what Duke came with in the classified series was more of a modern almost sci-fi take on binoculars. A little too small, in my opinion. But when I started, we did the binoculars, not necessarily knowing we're including that pair in the Duke set. And then I went, after I did that kind of retro binocular set, went with this kind of sci-fi look. And definitely just playing on the Star Wars thing, the sci-fi thing, opening up more possibilities from different fans, collectors that are looking for some kind of sci-fi type accessories. We wanted to at least start including some of those types of things. So
yeah. We were hit, there was a lot of we've had a ton of feedback on Star Wars stuff. I mean, guys have been really wanting to get a hold of Star Wars accessories. The issue we found was that our base is this GI Joe base, so we wanted to make sure we're satisfying them. But man, with these, we felt it's funny because I've had a lot of GI Joe guys order this green version of this modern binocular set.
Yeah,
which is totally cool. I think it looked good in the pictures, and it in a diorama would totally work. But we all know that white one on a stormtrooper or on a Hoth trooper. Oh man, that you're really kind of settling into a movie scene, and that's why I think in my mind I kept pushing Quaid. I was like, man, we got to get some Star Wars stuff going,
Yeah.
And we had on the list to do an MG34, and because we felt like that was a pretty generic weapon across the board for World War II guys as well as Star Wars, which will be coming. We're going to be doing a line of kind of World War II style weapons.
Boom.
But that scanner binocular, macro binocular, that had to happen. I mean, it was one of those things.
Any other ideas for sci-fi Star Wars stuff in the plans, or?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A lot.
Cool.
Well, with Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions coming, we have a little lag time in here, so we don't want to throw a bunch of stuff out right now, but we want to definitely, I guess a good as time as ever to tell you, for this year, our big plan that we've been having for the last couple of months putting together 2022 has been a big punch into 1/18 scale. Now hopefully that's a good feeling for a lot of your viewers, man, because I mean we're all 4-inch guys as well, 3 3/4 inch guys, so there's a lot of crossover, but there's been a need for really good weapons, and Marauders has done an awesome job for years. Nothing against them. We kind of just want to offer another variation, our style of weaponry,
Right.
And so I guess, do we show a reveal yet, or is it too early?
Let's do it. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. We're gonna talk guns right after this. So 112 guns, but here's 118. Whoa, look at that.
So this is a conversion of our old painless set from Predator. Our take on it, and this is in full 118. Flexible shoot. It'll come with the backpack, which brings another topic. We have decided for the most part to go away from pegs, and this is always debatable, and we have tried it several times. We're just not satisfied. Every time we put a peg on something, man, Hasbro makes some awesome figures, but that peg hole is all over the place.
This how loose this was a pain in the ass. Like just a couple, and look how small and thin this backpack is. It's just, I had some trouble with it, but you gotta kind of snug, and then once you move the character around, look, it gets loose.
And so this is an issue for us because we're making these really cool, we're putting a lot of effort and time into these really cool parts, and then it doesn't really sit on the back correctly, or it doesn't. With Roadblock was one where we could really match the peg to the angle, but we can't do that on a standard item that you would use on anybody. Our Roadblock retro set is very specific to him, so we could kind of make the peg work for him. So, but then, when it comes to like a radio pack, you could say Breaker can have a certain thing, but man, how we do that? We do that 3D mounting tape, right? And that I thought I brought it. I want to show everybody that 3D mounting tape we use it's just that red backed. You can buy it at Target, Ace Hardware, anywhere, right? There's no secret to it. It's just so good for repositioning stuff. And you can usually get 3 or 4 positions, you know, and once you're done, peel it off, put another strip on there. I mean, the roll's like $4 or $5, you can be adhering things to your figure really easy without ruining them. There's no glue. There's none of that stuff. So
Yeah, but I know Hasbro right now is shifting gears with their retro line. They're going back to the O-ring. The Sky Striker was, I got two myself. That thing
as
took,
well.
took right off, pun intended, and did great. And so will this work with 3 3/4 O-ring?
Just as good. I mean, this is all steel 3D mounted tape. So
that's why we do tape, because if you do pegs, it may not work. So
it may not work. And we all know, like in the 25th anniversary stuff, and those pegs were all different sizes. So this way we can do backpacks for 118, and man, you pull your tape off there, stick it on whatever figure you want, you're good to go. If you want to change it out, it's not a big deal.
Beautiful. So a bit of a lightning round here. So day 11, day 17, day 20, scars. All about the scars.
Yes.
The assault rifle. Oh, all right. Well, we'll let you talk about this one. So the assault rifle, the one with the silencer, and the one with the great grenade launcher. This might be, I loved your excitement because this might be my favorite gridiron gun or gun period of 2021. And props to KJ. He's not on the show today, but he gave me the Scarlet idea. So Scarlet is going to host. I think she's more of a one with the silencer or sniper kind of thing. So we'll see with that. But you want to talk Scar real quick, Quay?
Yeah, I think out of all of them, that's my favorite configuration. Basically, moving on, because I do everything digitally, and we use as many pieces that we've already created, that I've already done, basically the AR lower. Scar has that same lower. It's basically swapping out the upper, throwing a different stock on, and kind of sculpting out different variations based off that. We do that a lot, but this was fun because it kind of changes up the look for me, and I've always been a fan of the Scars. And that Scar with grenade launcher was probably my favorite specific item to work on. I know you like that one.
I got two. I got one in each
So
color, yeah. So.
He was pushing for those Scars, man, forever. And I know Colin, same thing, man. It's, I'm old school, man. So sometimes it's hard for me to make that move. That's what I'm saying. By really assembling a team that's seeing things on different age groups.
Yep.
There's a thing where, like this Colin was talking about, just in gaming alone, that gun's all over the place.
Yeah, Gears of War, Battlefield 2042, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's my favorite.
Oh yeah. So that'll probably go to my Scarlet because I think it'll fit really well. It's realistic that she would hold that one.
So, and I think in this one really, man, that grenade launcher one, man. When I saw him make the model, and I finally broke down, and I'm like, okay, man, just make your modern weapons.
Make what you want.
Just make whatever you want. When he came up with that, I mean, the first Scar, we kind of had a little bit of a debate whether we were going to do a basic model, because I was kind of pushing towards, in my mind, a base model of a Scar. I would rather have an M4 or an M16 model where I would do several of them on a wall, like in a rack.
Yeah,
which will be coming.
Oh, there you go. Lots of bombshells today.
But with the Scar, I could see where he was coming from, because by making that base model, we can make every variation. So they usually have to sell me on some stuff, but just so you know, we have this kind of constant debate over stuff for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I made it my own grid miss list in order to make an order, and I had to put next to each weapon which figure, either in the future, custom, or one I had, go with it. For the Scar grenade launcher, I don't have anyone attached to that, and I still bought two. I'm like, even if I just look at it in the package and don't even, of course I'm going to use it, but it's that weapon where I don't even have use for it at the second, and I don't care. I had to have both. It was beautiful. So we talked about day 21, Mark. We talked about day 21. I know you want to talk about the break action of the max 12 gauge son off.
Yeah. So this was an interesting thing. This is another one of these guns that I had been dropping, when we were having our design meetings. This kept coming up over and over and over again. Every week we like to kind of we like to get together, at least talk about the designs and where we're going all the time. Mm-hmm. And this was a gun, like during Halloween, we were trying to get this squeezed into kind of our horror. You know how we came out with the bloody chainsaw and some of these Halloween themed weapons. Obviously, like a shotgun, a cut-off shotgun, you immediately think of Ash. That's a big one. At least I do. My generation, that's what we kind of see. Mad Max, man. If we were going to do a double barrel shotgun, we called this the Max. But this was something that we really had to kind of do. And I think I was really surprised when I talked to Quinn about what we were doing the model wise. I wasn't even thinking we could pull off the break action. I was like, man, that's so small and fragile. But man, he came out, he came through, and he did a hinge system on that. That's I mean, you know, we always tell everybody, don't try to, you know, throw these things off your roof. But the actual hinge mechanism is very secure, which, you know, for shipping, we always make sure, man, we're not putting out junk. So for that to work, I have to make sure, as the kind of final say in how what goes in the bag, that thing's going to be durable enough. And man, he proved it, man. It was awesome.
We tried both variations. Yeah, I sculpted both, one that broke open and one solid, thinking, yeah, that hinge might be a little bit too thin, but we're actually surprised. The way it's set up is actually stronger than I was thinking it would be when it was actually printed. So
that's right.
We were happy with it and decided to go with that version.
And Colin loves, when we turn off over to production, he loves all the paint apps, right? Like,
I love that.
paint individual shells on stuff. He loves that. So
great.
But yeah, I think this. So talking about while we're on that is the howitzer. I'm gonna show that one. The howitzer, the street howitzer. So this is kind of a throwback for me. When I started in this industry years ago, I had done it as I was you know, back in the old day where we were sculpting out of wax and clay. I mean, this was my first job. I went to school for industrial design, but my first job was Into Toys, was making we were doing there was a tombstone line that got killed. It never even made it to life. And I was working on the Doc Holliday figure. So that street howitzer that Doc Holliday uses. So this is really homage to kind of my first part that I'd ever worked on.
Beautiful.
And that street howitzer, man, that's definitely ash to me. So we had to include the scabbard so you could put it on a back or whatever.
See, that's why we need some dreadnoughts, because they love those motorcycle dudes love those old school guns.
Right.
We need more of those.
Hopefully we put enough pressure on Hasbro, you know, make enough of these old, like, you know, road warrior weapons, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are essentially making them money, right? So all right.
Oh, that's all. Yeah.
So the Christmas day 25, 50 cal. That was it. That took away every Joe fan in the groups by storm. 50 cal breakdown sniper, a breakdown sniper rifle, right? So this is crazy. This immediately caused me to go on eBay and buy one of these. Look, immediately. And I got it for retail. I got lucky. Look at that. So the 80th Punisher, because he comes with rifles, but he doesn't come with that one. And he's got the different green rifles, and those are pretty good for Hasbro. Yeah. So, but now I got myself a green coated light green sniper rifle. It's sick. So let's talk day 25.
Yeah. Well, I just start with when we were coming to the last days, you know, and we were making sure we were finalized. Quay was back from being sick. Colin had really knocked down production. Like, we were good. Like, everything was in check. And we were talking about, are we really going to go through with the 50 cal? We thought we were going to do the Barrett, right? And that Colin was pushing for the Barrett, I think, at one point, pretty hard. But the problem was, man, we didn't want to get into a mag situation of the fit. I guess you can talk about that.
Yeah, with just how fast we're trying to produce these things without, you know, lowering the quality of the part itself and all that. There's certain things that take multiple days just to be able to see how it translates into the physical model from the digital files. So certain things we with a fit of a mag, there's usually 2 or 3 days of just adjusting the fit on the tolerance based off of how you're printing the part, how it's oriented on the machine itself. So we wanted to not get into any issue with the fit of a mag on a Barrett 50 cal. But we knew we wanted a sniper, so we had to go through and look at different options. Found basically reference material on basically what we made. And then it was kind of funny how it worked, because we were trying to avoid a mag, find maybe a bolt action, some type of sniper that way. And it turned into so many more fits than a mag. So it was like, but with this specific model, we knew we wanted this model, and we couldn't get ourselves to do this without making it all break down with the case, just because it'd be so cool. So we really wanted to go all out with it. So it's one of those things, man. It's like we were going to try to ease into it, and then we went all out, and there's like 6 different fits that have to be perfect on everything in a day.
Totally.
So then it's like stress getting the
That's wild.
done, and then make a quick adjustment to get it to be ready.
We should have just put a mag in it and been done.
So one-piece gun with the mag would be easy.
But instead, you know, having that breakdown of being able to like take apart, it just lended. And this was kind of a heavy order, but man, when we were pushing at the end, I was really saying we got to do a case if we're going to do this.
Right.
If you're going to do a breakdown weapon, there's got to be a place to put it. Yeah, where would it go?
That case is just so sweet. Like you could do so much with that in photography, and look at that. It looks, I mean, it's 1-to-1 almost.
Yeah. So when this was like, it was one thing to get this pulled off in the 25 days, but it was a whole nother thing to get a case that had the fit and you know, how would we hinge it without it being breakable? And there's just some interesting stuff going on there. So
Beautiful.
that was it.
So those 25 days are rocking and rolling. We got people are just, the orders are through the roof, huh?
It's dude, I've said it a million times. I know everybody's sick of me saying it, but man, I mean it every time. I mean, I always mention how we're thankful for the support. And I can't tell you, man, I can't tell your viewers enough that when we sat down and decided how we were going to do this business, we had no idea of the actual embrace the community would give us. You know, there's one thing to say, I'm going to make something cool, but there's another thing to be humble enough and be grateful enough to recognize that it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's about what we can do on the table, but it's about, are people going to step up and actually want it, you know? And dude, it's crazy how good the support has been. So we're extremely grateful, man.
It's a beautiful thing. Before we go, Colin, I got a question. Do you have a dream project you want to work on with Gridiron Studios?
I mean,
anything that is in your mind that you're just like, we got to do this?
I mean, as this scales, I'm trying to, I mean, basically do what I'm doing just on a bigger scale, I guess. So production.
He loves making the stuff. Like that's his big passion, you know.
Yeah, but what do you want to make the most? Like something that you haven't made yet. Do you have something? You have something. It's like
we're talking about vehicles.
Vehicles. That's what we want to hear. We want those vehicles. You know, we want those so bad. I don't have room for them. They'll be on the floor. I don't even care at this point.
And we're gonna be on the to gear up for that type of scale production. We're doing everything we can right now to kind of get towards that. Different machines that are just going to open up.
You know, we brought more people on now that are helping with shipping and doing some other things. So we're definitely scaling up for sure. So we hope, you know, we've told you in the beginning, man, even on our last interview, the whole plan, we're not stopping. It's going to keep going. And if everybody's with us and they're embracing us, man, we'll keep making the best stuff we can make.
Yeah.
I can drop one last thing for you.
That's the last part. Here we go.
Okay. So,
boom, boom.
So in this, just so that both guys get it, we're not leaving that behind. We tried to get to, we had a thing where it was called a sprint to 100. It was our motto, man, this whole year. How do we get 100 products behind us? And so we can vie for some market share, right? And that worked. And it was very successful that way. And we always said, if we got that 100, we need to make sure the 118 guys are taken care of, because that's the root of it. So this whole next year, man, it's really going to be, we're going to work on, talking about Colin and vehicles, we're going to work on modular build accessories for retro vehicles. So one of our biggest things that will be coming out this month, and you'll see it in a kind of a cool way, is we're trying to make a system that is going to be adhering multiple weapon platforms attachments onto your existing vehicles. So, and at the 118 scale. So, for example, that turret will be able to pop out and you'll pop in a Gridiron missile rack, a dual 50, or even a quad 50. You'll have side panels. We're going to do stowage racks, front cockpit modules, under the nose rotating weapons. So you could take your HISS tank and just start building an army of different variations. A flame tank, Arctic. Picture skis on the bottom platform where you take these treads off and you plug in a Gridiron module that gives you front skis and a back tread.
Crazy. You could make a
So
snow tank, snow hiss.
Snow hiss. So
That's wild.
and man, that goes back for me, man. I did an Arctic HISS custom for HISS tank probably 15 years ago.
No kidding.
It's floating around on the internet. It was a howitzer. I had done a 150 howitzer, kind of a self-propelled HISS tank Arctic. So I've been wanting to get back to that stuff anyway. So
that's great. And Lord knows Walmart needs to clear some of those tanks out. Like it was a rat race to get one, and now there's 100 of them floating on the shelves. So this might help Walmart's case here.
Yeah. So that's the plan right now. Some 118 focus here early in the year, but we will probably still be pushing on 112th is still, we're scheduling out every week. There'll be a 112th item still coming. So
that's still crazy. So that's still 50 plus items for 112 in the year. So that's a lot. Guys, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy New Year now.
All right, man. Right. That's right. Thanks for having us, Travis, man.
Oh, appreciate it. Always a blast. I got to get down to Arizona. They better have like a Joe Con down there. That we get.
We're thinking about starting it. We'll start it. Yeah.
Gridiron Con, and then Tony and I will be there. So.
Oh yeah, I know Tony will be there, man.
Yeah.
Now all we have to do is mention custom stuff, and he'll come run it.
Yep. So next time we see you guys, we'll be on Welcome to the Terradrome. So we'll revisit you guys in a few months, hopefully, right? We'll have a lot of fun on that with Chris, KJ, and Tony. That'll be a good time.
Good to see them again. Absolutely.
Great. Hey, thanks so much. So for Ruger 57, episode 57, the Toy Kind of Mood, I'm Travis Moody, the Von Cannons. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. Happy New Year.